So you want to improve your English? I have got good news for you. I am an English teacher in the United States. I've been teaching English here for over 20 years, and I have, oh, there's the bell. It's going off. I have over 2.5 hours of English learning for you. So maybe you want to watch this while you sleep. Maybe you want to watch this while you go to work. Maybe you want to watch this while you come home from work. I will be doing English lessons about hot things, cool things. I'll even do an English lesson from India, and also lots of English where we will watch the news together, and then I come back and teach all of those difficult things. So if that sounds like something that will be helpful to you, please go ahead, hit that like button, and let's start learning English together. Welcome back to another English lesson. Just a few hours ago, President Trump gave a speech in front of the UN in New York City, and I think he said quite a few things that might make some people upset. But what we are going to focus on in this English lesson is the question and answer session that he held with President Zelensky in front of reporters. Reporters asked the two men questions, and President Trump did most of the talking. But this is going to be a great English lesson if you want to study for the IELTS or TOEFL exam, or if you just want to have better conversations in English. Let's take a look at the news clip, and then I will come back and teach all of the difficult terms.
President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sat down and took questions. This, again, is just from moments ago. Here it is.
Mr. President, do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
Mr. President, any update on your talks with President Putin, and do you still trust him?
I'll let you know in about a month from now, okay?
President Trump, your message
to
the...
to provide Ukraine with the security guarantees the same way as European allies?
Well, that's later down the road. We'll be talking about that. Hopefully, we'll be in a position to talk about that.
Trust. I'm not sure if you knew this already. If you did, well, this can just be review. But trust, it means to believe that someone is honest or reliable. You might also hear the English phrasal verb to count on someone. Let's take a look at a sentence here that uses trust. We trust our friends to tell the truth. And here we have a picture of a couple friends, and it looks like they have trust in each other. Next, we have an idiom, down the road. It has nothing to do with what cars drive on. No, this is a little different. It means in the future. How about this sentence that uses down the road? He thinks he will be a better English speaker down the road if he keeps working hard. And I think the same can be true for you. If you work hard, study every day, you're going to get a little bit better each day. That is, if you are willing to put in the hard work. Willing means ready to do something. Some countries are willing to spend more on defense. And unfortunately, it looks like most countries are going to have to spend more on defense. There's a new report out saying that Russia may have interfered with Danish airports, maybe Norwegian airports. That's pretty scary stuff.
Hopefully, we'll be in a position to talk about that a little bit later on. It's a little bit too early to answer.
Why do you think Mr. Putin is not willing to meet with both of you?
President Trump, your message to President Orban, who is refusing to stop buying Russian oil.
Well, he's a friend of mine. I have not spoken to him, but I have a feeling if I did, he might stop, and I think I'll be doing that.
Thank you.
What progress do you think has been made on ending Russia's war against Ukraine since the last time you saw President Zelensky?
Well, the biggest progress is that the Russian economy is terrible right now. It's, as you know, it's crashing. And that, frankly, Ukraine is doing a very good job of stopping this very large army.
President Trump mentions President Orban. President Orban is the leader of Hungary. Let's look at a sentence that uses President Orban. President Orban met with world leaders at the UN. Hopefully, during this meeting, some progress was made towards peace. Progress means moving forward or improving. Take a look at that picture. It looks like we have an English learner. He is an English student. He made progress towards his goal of becoming a fluent English speaker. And if you are looking to become a fluent English speaker, you can practice with me. Right now, I am offering classes, just me and you, one-on-one. If that sounds helpful to you, take a look at the description. Take a look at the comments. I have left a link. Click on that so you can get more information. Maybe we will be speaking to each other down the road. A crashing economy. President Trump says Russia's economy is crashing. Every time you hear economy, think money. A crashing economy is when a country's money system is failing. And I feel really bad for this family here. It looks like they are having trouble affording groceries because the economy is crashing. Let's look at a sentence. A crashing economy makes it hard to pay for defense. It also makes it hard to pay for groceries. Frankly, this is another way to say you are being honest with someone. Honestly, to speak in a direct way. And take a look at this picture. Some bad news here for these students. The teacher said, frankly, I don't think you will pass the test. And I wonder why. Maybe they didn't put the hard work in. Maybe they didn't study enough for this test.
It's pretty amazing. You know, this is a war that should have ended in 3 days, 4 days. People said it was going to be very quick, and you got to hand it to the Ukrainian soldiers and everybody involved. It's still going on, and that's not a good thing for Russia. This was supposed to be quick, and so, you know, Russia doesn't look very distinguished, having taken 3.5 years now, right? It's about 3.5 years of very hard fighting, and it looks like it's not going to end for a long time.
Mr. President, have you been briefed on the latest alleged drone incursion into Denmark? What do you think of that? And
Where are they?
Into Denmark, Copenhagen. Denmark is saying that there were some drones that shut down an airport, possibly Russian sabotage. What's your response to that? Will the U.S. have a material response to that?
Well, I have no response until I find out exactly what happened. I know about it, but they don't know what happened. But we're going to find out very soon.
Sir.
Would you back up NATO allies? You said that you thought that they should shoot down the Russian aircraft. Would you back them up? Would the United States help them out in some way?
Depends on the circumstance, but, you know, we're very strong toward NATO.
We have another English idiom here. Gotta hand it to them. Gotta hand it to them. Sometimes, as you probably know, English speakers speak very quickly. Gotta hand it to them. What does it mean? Well, it means to give someone credit or praise. And in the picture, you can see some very tired firefighters. You gotta hand it to the firefighters for working all night to put out the fire. Next, we have distinguished. Distinguished, that means respected and important. She gave a speech to a room full of distinguished leaders. There were a lot of distinguished leaders at the UN today. The president said he was briefed on those drones that flew over Copenhagen or something like that. We're still not exactly sure what happened there, but briefed means given short, important information. We know presidents are busy. They don't have a lot of time to get all of the information. But if you're briefed, you get the most important information in a short period of time. The president was briefed about the Russian jets. Yeah, and the craziest thing he said in that question and answer session was, yeah, NATO should shoot down the Russian jets if they go into their airspace. And I think he said the US will back up NATO if they shoot down those Russian jets. It's another English phrasal verb, and it means to help or support someone. The U.S. promised to back up NATO allies. Allies is just another way to say friends. Circumstances. Circumstances. That means the situation or condition, usually like surrounding the situation. Take a look at this mom. She's got quite a few kids going crazy around her. It's difficult to study English under these circumstances.
NATO stepped up. You know, when they went from 2% to 5%, that was great unity. Trillions of dollars is being pumped in, and they're paying us for the weapons that we send. But that was a big day. Nobody thought a thing like that could happen. You had countries that weren't paying 2%, and now they're all paying 5%. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of weapons they're buying, and they're buying them from us. They're buying them from the U.S. You know, in the old days, Biden gave them everything, gave them $350 billion worth of money and weapons. That's a lot of money and a lot of weapons, and we got really not much for it. We gave the money to Ukraine to fight, and they've proven they're very brave. I mean, look, they're fighting, and this is a war going on 3.5 years, and people thought it would be over quickly because Russia's a big military power, and Ukraine, I tell you, they are good fighters. Got to hand it to them. They have a lot of courage, a lot of guts. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Another English phrasal verb here, stepped up. It means to take more responsibility or do more. NATO has stepped up its defense spending. And that ties into the next thing we're going to talk about. During President Trump's first term, he told NATO countries, hey, you need to spend more on defense. I guess they were spending about 2% of their GDP. GDP means all of the money a country has each year. And I guess he wanted them to spend 5%. Maybe some countries were spending 5%, but not enough. So during the question and answer session, he says he thinks it's good that all NATO countries are now spending 5% of their GDP on defense. Let's get the official definition. The part of a country's economy spent on defense. GDP, I think it stands for gross domestic product. That's not exactly important what the acronym stands for. Just know it's like all of the country's money. Trump wants NATO countries to raise spending from 2% to 5% of GDP. And I think they have done that already. Another English phrasal verb. We have a lot of English phrasal verbs in this lesson. Pumped in. It means to add or give a lot of money or resources. Countries have pumped in billions to strengthen their militaries. The old days, Trump said, or sometimes you might hear the good old days. That means a time in the past. How about this sentence? I'm not sure if this is true or not, but we have a picture and it definitely looks like the old days. And here's a sentence. It seems like life was better in the old days. I don't know. I think life is pretty good. At least here in the United States, we have AI. We have a lot of medicines we didn't have in the old days that saves lives. Of course, this depends on where you live. Sadly, I think if you live in Ukraine, you probably do think the old days were better. They got guts. They got guts. I think President Trump said this about the Ukrainian people. It means they are brave. He said the leaders had the guts to stand up to Russia. And if you take a look at that picture, this little boy looks brave. It looks like he has the guts to jump off that high diving board. Congratulations. You made it to the end of another very difficult English lesson. If you're looking for more English, right down there is an English lesson I did about President Xi of China speaking with President Trump on the phone. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Thanks so much for clicking on this English lesson. I know there are so many good English teachers on YouTube, and you chose to click on my lesson. I love teaching English, and I hope this English lesson is helpful. About 13 terms you might see on the IELTS TOEFL exam. You will definitely hear these on the news, and maybe you want to use them in a future English conversation. So over the weekend, President Xi of China and President Trump got together, had a phone call. I mean, that seems like it's a good thing for the world, right? Most of the time on this channel, we talk about bad things, people dying. And to be honest, people will click on those videos more often. So this probably won't do as well, but I thought this would be good news for the world. Before we watch the news clip together, if you could hit that like button, it really helps other English learners find the channel. And if this is your first time here, go ahead and subscribe. Let's watch the newscast together.
President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping are set to speak on the phone today. One angle of discussion is a potential deal to save TikTok in the U.S. Now, this is the leaders' first known call in 3 months. President Trump says the U.S. will get a tremendous fee for putting together the deal. He joined Fox News yesterday to talk about the potential agreement.
My relationship with China is very good. You know, we have a trade deal with them. We had a very good meeting the other day. And it sounds like they've approved TikTok, and TikTok is a tremendous amount of money for the United States.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with more on this. Good morning, Natalie. So what might we expect from today's conversation? It's a big one.
Well, obviously, lingering trade tariff tensions will be one topic. But of course, one of the major goals of this call is to firm up and finalize this framework or outline of a TikTok deal that the administration previewed earlier this week to sell TikTok, the very popular app, to U.S. companies and firms.
For each of these terms, I will have the official definition. I will have a picture, and I will use it in at least one sentence. Set to speak is the first term. I think set might be one of the most difficult words in English. But here, set to speak, it means ready or scheduled to talk to a group. The mayor is set to speak at the school tomorrow about safety. Potential is next. I know we have talked about potential before on this channel, so maybe it is review for you, but potential means something that could happen or become real in the future. Take a look at this young girl playing soccer. She has a lot of potential to be a great soccer player. Now we have lingering. Lingering, good word to know in English, and it means staying longer than expected or slow to leave. Like if you get sick, I am filming this right now at the end of September, and where I live, October, November, December is a time when people get sick quite a bit. They might get a little cold, and sometimes that cold lingers around. We also have that English phrasal verb, like you're sick, you can't get rid of the sickness. You can't get over it. To use a couple more English phrasal verbs. Take a look at the picture and let's read this sentence. The smell of pizza was lingering in the classroom after lunch. Oh, whoops, that's not the right picture. That's not the right picture. This is the right sentence, though. He lingered around after the concert, hoping to see the famous singer. Here is a great English phrasal verb to know: to firm up. To firm up. It has a couple different meanings, but in the newscast, they used it like this: to make a plan or decision more certain or final. So let's say you were going to have dinner with a friend on Friday, but you didn't know the exact time. So you might call them, hey, we need to firm up the time. What time are you thinking we are going to meet? I also have a sentence for you that uses firm up. And I think it has something to do with this picture right here. Let's firm up our travel plans before buying tickets. And in the picture, you can see they have a map out. It looks like they might have a brochure for travel.
Details still unknown, even though, the Treasury Secretary, the president himself hinted at this deal. From what we understand, it would involve U.S. tech companies and venture capital firms coming together to take an ownership stake. Of course, all of this stems from that bipartisan law passed by Congress that said that TikTok must divest from its Chinese parent company ByteDance or else go dark here in the United States. Of course, lawmakers who passed that legislation are going to be scrutinizing any potential deal. CBS News on the takeout spoke to one of the lawmakers, Democrat Raja Krishnamurthy, who will be paying especially close attention. He's the ranking member on the Select Committee on China. Take a listen.
We want TikTok to survive. We just don't want it to be under the control of the Chinese Communist Party. There can't be operational relationships between ByteDance and the new entity such that, basically the CCP would use a backdoor to gain access to data, violate people's privacy, and, undermine the reason for the law.
What about hinted? Sometimes you will hear the noun hint. The verb hinted, it's pretty close. It means gave a small clue or suggestion without saying it directly. So in the picture here, we have a teacher. She is at the whiteboard, and we might say that he, in the picture it's a she, but in the sentence we have a he. He hinted that there might be a surprise quiz next week. Venture capital. I do not use this term often because I'm not all into business. I'm an English teacher, but if you work in the business field, you might hear venture capital quite a bit. It means money invested in a new or small business to help them grow. And of course, we have a sentence. Maybe it has something to do with the picture. I can't remember. Yes, I think the picture and the sentence match. The new tech company got venture capital to build their first product. Stems. Here it is a verb. Now, a stem can be part of a plant. That would be a noun. They used it as a verb in the newscast, and it means comes from or starts from something. How about this one? My mom was always afraid of water. And I think it stemmed from something that happened to her as a child. I think she almost drowned in the ocean. So here's a sentence that has something to do with that. Her fear of water stems from a bad experience as a child. But in the picture, you can see this person looks pretty frustrated. So here's a sentence that has something to do with that picture. His frustration stems from the difficult English exam he had to take today. And you can clearly see that man looks frustrated. In fact, he has a couple pieces of crumpled up paper on his desk. It looks like maybe he made a mistake and he wanted to start over. Do you know that English phrasal verb, crumpled up? The pieces of paper on his desk are crumpled up. Next, we have bipartisan. Usually when you see bi at the beginning of a word in English, it means two. Bipartisan means supported by two different political parties. And if we are talking about the US, we are talking about Republicans and Democrats. How about this sentence that goes along with this picture? The new law had bipartisan support in Congress. That means both Republicans and Democrats liked it. That is becoming very rare in the United States right now in 2025. Republicans and Democrats can't seem to agree on anything. Divest is next. It's almost like the opposite of invest, if you know that word. Divest means to sell or give up part of a business or an investment. And this has something to do with TikTok and the newscast. The company will divest its clothing brand to focus on electronics. So maybe this company was trying to do both things, deal with electronics and clothing. Those two things aren't really related, so they divested part of the business. To go dark, it's kind of an idiom. It doesn't really have anything to do with like light and dark. It has more to do with communication. And it means to stop sharing information or to disappear from contact. The spy. Yeah, spies should probably go dark every once in a while if they are good at their job. The spy went dark after the mission started. Scrutinize. Scrutinize. Maybe you scrutinize over your English notes every morning when you wake up. Scrutinize means to look at something very carefully to find details or problems. Take a look at that picture. It looks like that is a teacher, and they are scrutinizing a student's work. The teacher will scrutinize your essay for grammar mistakes. Next, we have backdoor access, and this has something to do with technology. It's a secret or hidden way to get into a place, system, or information. Hackers used backdoor access to steal the company's data, and that is it. Congratulations on making it to the end of another difficult English lesson. You are looking for more English? Right down there is an English lesson about how Venezuela and the United States aren't exactly getting along. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. This man absolutely wrecks himself, but I think it will give you a couple new words to learn in English. First of all, he takes off running at full speed. That's another way to say he is running as fast as he can. He tries to leap over 3 dirt bikes, but that doesn't work out so well. He ends up doing a face plant. A face plant is when you hit your face on something really hard, and I am sure he ends up getting road rash. Road rash is when you scrape your skin across the road. I sure hope he's okay. Thanks so much for clicking on this English lesson. I know there are a lot of amazing English teachers on YouTube, and you chose to click on this English lesson. Thanks so much. You may know I am an English teacher in the United States. I've been teaching for over 20 years. And today you are going to experience what it might be like to be in my classroom. So I am your teacher for the next 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. We are going to learn some vocabulary you might see on the IELTS or TOEFL exam. You might read this in a book. You might hear it in a conversation. And then we are going to read an actual story that I've been reading with my students in class. But first, we need to learn some vocabulary. And for that, I have some pictures, and I also have some definitions and sentences at the bottom of the screen. So first, let's talk about fluffy. It's an adjective, and it is used to describe quite a few things in English. We're going to talk about 6 of those things. But first, the definition: soft and light, like a cloud or a pillow. Hopefully you know what those objects are. If not, don't worry. We will talk about them in just a minute. How about this sentence? The kitten's fur was fluffy and warm. And if I make this a little bigger, we can talk about some of these objects here. So first, you can see a cloud. You see those in the sky quite often, and they are often fluffy. We also have a kitten. It's just another way to say a baby cat. Marshmallows. They are very popular in the United States. Some people like to roast marshmallows over a campfire. You also have a bunny that can be fluffy. Bunny and rabbit are basically the same thing. And I'm not sure about you, but at night, I like my pillows to be fluffy. And finally, we have a dandelion. In fact, right now, in my front yard, there are a couple dandelions. I see those most often in the spring. I'm filming this in the fall, right before it's about to get cold where I live, and we still have a few dandelions. Next, I think we should talk about the word layer. layer. This is most often going to be a noun. And the definition for a layer is a thin piece or level that covers something. She put one layer of frosting on the cake, and we're going to talk about cake right now. So let me make myself smaller. 6 more pictures of things that are layers, or they come in layers. One thing I'm not so sure about, we'll talk about that. But yeah, there are layers to the earth. We have some layers in English we might call the crust, the mantle, the core. In the middle, one of my favorite things, cake. And you might see it's like a 3-layer cake. It's a strawberry cake. It's a piece of cake. And there's definitely frosting on the top, but you have a layer of frosting and then a layer of cake, then a layer of frosting for what I would call a 3-layer cake, even though there were kind of like 6 layers there with the frosting and the cake. Sedimentary rock, you will find that in the ground. Ooh, maybe I should remove myself so you can see lasagna. Lasagna, there are layers of cheese and sauce and pasta. In the middle, let's come back to shirt, because I don't think that is a layered shirt. And then again, you have layers of rock, different colored rock there. But in the middle, I wouldn't call that shirt layered. I would call it striped. So let's read that sentence at the bottom. I wouldn't call that shirt a layered shirt. I'd call it a striped shirt. Now, you can dress in layers. We might say that you can dress in layers when it's cold. So that woman has a jacket on for sure. She also has a scarf, and she has probably a sweater and maybe a t-shirt on underneath that. So she is definitely dressed in layers. Always a good thing to do when it's cold outside. Next, we have glitter. Glitter. Now, this is a noun. A lot of little kids like to do art projects with glitter. Glitter sparkles. We'll talk about that verb in a little bit. But you can turn glitter into an adjective. So you can say, oh, it's glittery. But let's talk about what the noun is first. Glitter. Small, shiny pieces that sparkle. And in that picture, that glitter has certain places where you can see the light shining. So we might say it's sparkling. Glitter definitely sparkles when the light hits it just right. So let's get a sentence with glitter. The card had glitter on it that made it shine in the light. Glittery is sometimes the adjective. Couple easy ones here. Oh, hang on. Couple easy ones here. Wood stove. Some people like to use a wood stove to heat their house. It's different from a fireplace. Fireplaces are more decorative. They are more for decoration. Yes, they will heat up a room in the house, but a fireplace is more to look nice. A wood stove might be ugly. This one in the picture, it's kind of ugly, but it does the job. It will heat your house up. So a wood stove is a heater or cooker that burns wood to make heat. And I talked about earlier campfire. That is different from a wood stove and a fireplace because a campfire is always outside and you could actually roast marshmallows over the campfire. We talked about roasting. If you saw the English lesson about hot things or warm things, we talked about roasting. How about this sentence with wood stove? We stayed warm by sitting near the wood stove on the cold winter night. Another fairly straightforward one, like a snowblower. Some people will use this machine to clear off their driveway. Do you know that English phrasal verb? They might clear snow off their driveway or maybe the sidewalk in front of their house. Here's the definition for snowblower: a machine that blows snow off a driveway or a sidewalk. Let's get a sentence that uses snowblower. My dad used a snowblower to clear the path after the big storm. Now, if you have to clear even more snow, maybe off like an entire road, you might use a snow plow. So a snow plow is a truck with a large blade that pushes snow off roads or driveways. A snowplow. Here is a sentence that uses snowplow. The snowplow cleared the street so cars could drive safely. Now let's get sparkling. Just to make sure that it is clear, we have a picture there, and it looks like the snow is sparkling in the sun. Here's the definition: shining brightly with small flashes of light. The snow looked sparkling under the morning sun. So you could say it looks sparkling, it looks sparkly, pretty much the same thing. But what about melted away? Do you know the English phrasal verb melted? It's like the opposite. I'll talk slowly here. Do you know what the opposite of melt is? It's to freeze. So if you have some ice and you put it, if you have some water, it will become ice. If you have some water and then you put it into the freezer, if you saw the lesson on cold things, you know these words already. So if you put some water into the freezer, it is going to freeze. That's the verb we would use for it. It gets hard, it gets solid. And then when you take that ice out of the freezer and you let it sit at room temperature, it will melt. But we also have the English phrasal verb melted away. That means turned to liquid and disappeared. Very sad, but that snowman is eventually going to melt away. It looks like the day is going to be pretty hot. The sun is shining on that snowman, and he will slowly melt away. Here's a sentence that uses the English phrasal verb melted away. The ice melted away in the warm room. What about this one? Great verb to know. It is going to appear in our story that we are going to read in a minute. All of these terms will. Melted. No, sorry. We already did melted. This one is soaked. Soaked. That means very, very wet. My shoes got soaked after walking through the puddles. And if we take a look at this picture, this woman, this young girl maybe, it looks like she is very proud to be from Angola. She is wearing her sweatshirt from Angola. Hang on. Maybe I should show you my shirt here. Look at this. This is from a country really close to Angola, the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. But this girl, maybe, she's from Angola, and her feet are getting soaked. She's not wearing boots. I would say that she is either wearing sandals or slides, and she is wearing socks, and she's walking through the puddle. Maybe she just wants to have a little fun, but she is doing exactly what that sentence is saying. My shoes got soaked after walking through the puddles. Puddles can sometimes be slippery. Slippery is an adjective, and it means smooth and wet, easy to slide on. We'll talk about somebody upstairs is moving furniture. Sorry about that. If you heard it, maybe the microphone is doing its job. You didn't hear that. But something can be slippery. And if it is slippery, you might slip or you might slide. We will talk about slide in a minute. Be careful. The floor is slippery after the rain. And it looks like this person in the picture is walking on a path that might have some ice on it. He also is not wearing boots. He's just wearing regular sneakers. We might call those shoes. Sneakers. And it looks like that path is slippery. If he slips, that's the verb, He might almost fall, or he could slip and fall. The next one that will be in the story we read is mitten. These are different from gloves. Both gloves and mittens you put on your hands to keep warm, but we'll see in a minute, mittens don't have any room for fingers. It's like all one spot, except for this. It does have room for your thumb, or a spot for your thumb. A mitten is a warm glove with one part for the thumb and one big part for all of the other fingers. I think I've done an English lesson on fingers in English. We actually have a name for all of the fingers in English, but the one we're talking about right now is thumb. Thumb. It has a B at the end. Don't ask me why. You don't say the B. Thumb. I wore a red mitten on each hand to keep warm in the snow. Couple more words here, and then we'll read our story. But lounge. Do you know this word in English? It can be a verb, and I think that's what we're going to talk about here, but it can also be a noun. We'll talk about that in a minute. But to lounge, looks like these girls are lounging. Looks like a great day. They're in their pajamas, sitting on the sofa or the couch, and they are maybe watching a movie. There is a bowl of popcorn in front of them. So it looks like a pretty nice, relaxing day. And the word lounge and relax can mean pretty much the same thing. Let's get the official definition. To sit or lie down in a relaxed way. After school, we lounged on the couch and watched a movie. Now, in the story we are about to read, they're going to talk about the teacher's lounge. So there, it's going to be a noun, and that is a room where people can go to basically relax. Like in the teacher's lounge, that is a room where teachers can go to get away from students, to just kind of relax. You might also see a lounge in an airport. If you have enough money, maybe you can pay to use the airline's lounge. There you might find like free food and snacks and just a quiet place to get away from the hustle and bustle of an airport. So let's talk about it as a noun. Lounge can also mean a comfortable room for relaxing, like an airport lounge. All right, we have two more. Sliding, the verb, and slide, which is a noun. So sliding means moving smoothly along a surface, usually down or across something. So sliding is smooth. Slipping is not smooth. Like you almost always will slip on accident, but sometimes you can slide and it's like fun. You can actually like slide down a hill. Do you know the object those two kids are using to slide down the hill? I'll give you a second to think. Well, it's called a sled. So they are sliding down the hill on a sled. Here is a sentence using sliding. The children were sliding down the icy hill and laughing. So that's exactly what those kids look like they are doing. But we also have a slide. So this is a noun, a slide. And you can find these things in almost every playground in the United States. A lot of elementary schools. That's where little kids go to school. A lot of elementary schools will have a playground, and they almost always have a slide. If you don't mind, please go ahead, hit that like button if this is your first time here and you're still watching. Thanks so much. Please go ahead and subscribe. Now let's put those words that you know to use when we read this story. And like I said earlier, this is the same story my students are reading in class. So I will make myself really small and I will make the story big. And I say we just go right through and read this together. If you have to stop and take notes, feel free to do that. If you need to watch this more than once, I mean, we are talking about a lot of information here. Please go ahead and Watch it a couple times. This story is called A Snowy Day Surprise. The alarm clock rang. Maya opened her eyes. The room was bright. She looked outside her window. Snow. Lots of it. Big, fluffy snow was falling. Everything had a thick white layer of snow. It looked so sparkling, like tiny jewels. Wow, Maya said quietly. She usually didn't like winter. It was too cold, but today felt special. The big tree in the yard looked beautiful, all white and round with snow. Maya quickly put on her warm clothes. On the kitchen table, her mom left her red mittens. They had white snowflakes on them. Maya loved them. They kept her hands warm. And here we have Maya. It looks like she's getting ready for school. She already put on her sweater, and now she is putting on her vest. That is that kind of jacket-like thing that doesn't have any sleeves. So she is dressing in layers because it's cold out. She has what looks like a bowl of cereal, maybe some oatmeal, a cup of warm tea, maybe coffee, and her mittens are on the table. And it looks like somebody left her a note. Her mom left her a note. Oh, and she has her fluffy, or I might call those furry. I might call those furry boots. But she definitely looks ready for the snow. After breakfast, her little brother Leo ran into the kitchen. Snow day. No school, he shouted. Maya smiled. No school today. Let's build a snowman, Leo asked. He was already putting on his boots. Wait, Leo, Maya said, we need more clothes. It's very cold. You can see this little guy. He is stomping in the snow. That's when you put your foot down hard, either on the floor or the snow. And it looks like they are definitely making a snowman. They put on many clothes. Maya wore a thin layer first, then a warm jacket. Leo looked like a small round snowball. Finally, they were ready. Outside, the air was very cold, but nice. The snow was deep. Leo walked with big steps, stomping in the snow. Each stomp made a deep mark. They rolled big snowballs. Their faces were red from working hard. They built a tall snowman. He had black stones for eyes, a carrot for a nose, and a blue scarf. I think we'll talk about scarf here in a little bit, just in case you don't know. No, we won't. Hang on. So let's go back. Let's look at this picture right here. That thing around the snowman's neck, we would call that a scarf. Oh, no. It looks like that snowman is already melting, but he does have a carrot for a nose. That orange thing we call a carrot. Do we read this yet? We did, right? So now we're down here. Oh, fluffy, layer, sparkling, mitten. Hopefully you all know those words from before. He needs a name, Leo said. How about Frosty? Maya laughed. Just then, the sun came out. It shone on the snowman. Shone is the past tense of shine. But the air got a little warmer. Drip, drip, drip. Water fell from the house roof. The snowman started to change. His nose moved a little. Oh no, Leo said. He's melting away. Maya saw it too. The snow on the tree branches was getting smaller. The beautiful sparkling snow now looked wet. The snowman was slowly getting smaller. It was melting away. It's okay, Leo, Maya said. We can build another snowman another day. They went inside for hot chocolate. They left their snowman to melt. It felt warm inside, but the special feeling of the morning was also melting away. The end. That is the end of our story. Let me make myself a little bigger. All right, so that is like a 20-minute class for you. Congratulations on making it to the end. If you want another English lesson about warm things, it's right down there for you. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Welcome back to another English lesson. In today's English lesson, we are going to watch a news clip from a station here in the United States called CNN. And they are going to be talking about a very big meeting that is happening between Trump and Putin. This meeting will take place in Alaska, and we are going to talk about 15 terms you might hear native English speakers say in conversations, or you might see on the IELTS or TOEFL exam if you are preparing for those. We are going to talk about a couple different phrasal verbs like show up and give up. We will talk about Alaska, the U.S. state that this big meeting is going to take place in. We are going to talk about two ways we use setting the table. One is like how we really use it, and then one is an idiom. If that sounds helpful to you, please go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe if this is your first time here, and let's start watching that news clip together.
Begin tonight with a question that could decide the immediate fate of Ukraine and the future of Europe and the NATO alliance, namely which Donald Trump will show up at the summit with Vladimir Putin in Anchorage, Alaska, less than 2 days from now. Will it be the one who spoke today with Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders, telling them, sources say, that he would not negotiate Ukrainian territory with Vladimir Putin? Or will the Donald Trump who shows up Friday be the one who just 2 days ago said he might be okay with the idea of Ukraine having to give up some of its territory for peace?
There'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody. To the good, for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both.
He didn't specify who would be negotiating that land swapping, as he called it. He also did not acknowledge that the land in question was taken by a foreign aggressor.
The first term they used in the newscast that I thought might give you trouble is fate. Fate. Now that means what happens to someone or something in the future. This is often something that you can't control. It was his fate to become a famous singer. I hope it is your fate to become a great English speaker. We use this phrasal verb all the time in English. Show up. It means to arrive somewhere. She didn't show up to class today. Trump and Putin will show up tomorrow in Alaska for the meeting. And this is a special kind of meeting, a meeting we call a summit in English. Let's talk about what a summit is. A meeting between leaders of countries. The two presidents met at a summit to talk about peace. Sometimes you will hear summit when they are talking about the top of a mountain. Please let me interrupt this English lesson for just a second. If you are looking for a speaking partner, I can be your speaking partner. If you check out the description below, there is a link that will take you to learn more information. It does cost some money, but I have been teaching for 20 years. I will not steer you wrong. Yes, it does cost money, but right now I am offering a coupon for 10% off. Use the code SUMMER10 at checkout to get your 10% off. If you want to improve your English speaking, check out the link below. Now, back to the English lesson. Give up. We have a couple ways we use give up. One is to stop trying to do something. Don't give up. You can pass the test. I hope you never give up improving your English. But in the newscast, they used it a little differently. Like they were saying Ukraine might have to give up some of their land or their territory. Let's get the official definition. To let someone else have something, to stop owning or keeping it. And here is a word you might see on the IELTS or TOEFL exam, relinquish. It's a very advanced word, and it means to give up something, to let somebody have something. How about this sentence here? He had to give up his seat on the bus for an elderly woman. Yeah, you should let the older person sit down if you are younger. And here is a sentence that has something to do with the meeting tomorrow. Ukraine might have to give up or relinquish some land to end the war with Russia. I don't know though. From what I have heard from President Zelensky, he said Ukraine will never give up or relinquish land to Russia. Now, President Trump said in the newscast that Russia and Ukraine might swap land. Let's talk about what swap means. Exchanging one thing for another. They were swapping snacks at lunch. I know when I was in elementary school, when I was younger, a lot of times my mom would pack me a lunch. I didn't always like everything in my lunchbox, so sometimes at lunch I would swap what I didn't like with someone who had something I did like. Specify. Specify, that means to say something clearly and exactly. Please specify what time you will come. Like if you say you are going to be there in the afternoon, that could be a little vague. It's not specific. If you say you are going to be there at 3 p.m., well, you are specifying when you're going to be there. You're being very specific. Please specify which country in Africa you would like to visit. In other words, you need to be specific. I mean, Africa is a big place. It's very vague. If you specify exactly which country, then you are being specific.
He didn't specify who would be negotiating that land swapping, as he called it. He also did not acknowledge that the land in question was taken by a foreign aggressor. He did, however, add that, quote, "We're going to see what the parameters are, and then I'm going to call up President Zelensky and European leaders." Today, the president warned yet again of potential severe consequences for Russia.
Will Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
There will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences.
The president also said that if all goes well at the summit, he'd like to immediately arrange a follow-up.
They used the term aggressor in the newscast. That is a person or country that starts a fight or war. President Trump is often hesitant. He doesn't want to say that Russia was the aggressor in this war. I mean, they invaded Ukraine. Ukraine was not the aggressor. They did not invade Russia. The aggressor attacked without warning. Parameters is how you say this next one. Parameters. These are limits or rules for something. The teacher set parameters for the project. One parameter might be when it is due. When does it need to be finished by? Now, I just made this sentence up. I don't know if these parameters are true, but some of the parameters for the meeting were that it had to last less than 2 hours and it had to take place in Alaska. I'm sure this meeting will last longer than 2 hours. Just a couple examples there. And just in case you don't know where Alaska is on the map, it is our largest state and it is very close to Russia and it borders Canada. It is way up north. It is usually pretty cold there. Consequences is the next thing in the newscast that they talked about that I thought might be a little troubling for you. Consequences are the results of an action, often bad. He knew the consequences of breaking the rules. And in the picture, you can see it looks like a person is behind bars. In other words, they are in jail. One of the consequences he suffered was going to jail. A great term to know in English, a follow-up. That is something done after an earlier event to check or continue it. The doctor asked her to come in for a follow-up visit. Maybe when you go to the doctors, they give you new medication, but then the doctor will want you to come in for a follow-up in like 6 months to see how your body is reacting to that new medication. In the newscast, they said Trump and Putin would have an initial meeting or a first meeting, and then later they would have a follow-up meeting, which might include President Zelensky and might not include President Trump.
The president also said that if all goes well at the summit, he'd like to immediately arrange a follow-up.
We'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there.
The president said Friday's summit would be setting the table for this second meeting. His press secretary calls it a listening exercise. For him, and the White House has been downplaying expectations for the last several days. For Russia's part, a Kremlin foreign ministry spokesman says Moscow's position is unchanged. It's not dropping any territorial claims on eastern Ukraine. And a close Putin aide says that a second meeting following Alaska is expected to take place on Russian soil.
Setting the table. Take a look at that picture. The definition is putting plates, forks, and other things on a table before a meal. He helped his mom by setting the table for dinner. But that is not the way they used it in the newscast. This is more like an idiom. It has nothing to do with getting ready for dinner. This means preparing for something important so it is ready to happen. Here is a very long sentence, but I think it explains setting the table perfectly. The boss spent the morning setting the table for the big afternoon meeting by making sure everyone had the documents they needed. Like one way that you could set the table before taking a big test like the IELTS or TOEFL exam is to study hard. Get plenty of sleep the night before. Arrive early to take your test. If you do those things, you would be setting the table to have a successful result. Downplaying. Downplaying, that means making something seem less important than it is. She was downplaying her role in the project, so she didn't want to be the leader. What about this? She downplayed the surgery to her family. She didn't want them to worry. Like this could be a serious surgery, but she told her family, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. Okay, down in the description, there is a quiz you can take for all of these words, but let's take a couple questions right now and see how you did. Swapping. Do you remember that? Swapping, does it mean eating quickly? Does it mean trading one thing for another? Does it mean losing something? If you swap something, do you lose it? Or are you buying something expensive? Swapping means B, trading one thing for the other. What about an aggressor in English? Is that someone who starts a fight or war? Someone who helps in a fight? Someone who makes peace? Or someone who studies history? Do you need a couple seconds to think? I hope you said an aggressor is A, someone who starts a fight or war. Congratulations, you made it to the end of a very advanced English lesson. Don't forget, if you would like to speak with me one-on-one, I am offering classes. Check out the description for more information. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Welcome back to another English lesson. In today's English lesson, we are going to talk about a man named Charlie Kirk, and we are going to try to answer the question, is the United States now closer to another civil war? Last week, this man was murdered and he was very controversial. Many Americans loved him. Many Americans hated him. Many Americans are paying tribute to his life, while others are saying he got exactly what he deserved. Social media in the United States is going crazy right now. I have many friends who are Republicans. Charlie Kirk was a Republican. They are feeling very sad right now. I have many friends who are Democrats, and some of them are actually happy that this man was killed. He was a Christian. I don't think he liked people who are Muslim. I don't think he liked people who were Jewish. He seemed very nervous of them. He was against immigration. He was against abortion. Those topics alone in the United States will either make people love you or hate you. In total, you will learn 25 new terms you might see on the IELTS or TOEFL exam. Together, we are going to watch a newscast about his murder, and I will come back and teach all of those difficult terms you might see on the IELTS or TOEFL exam, or terms you might want to use in your next English conversation. Before we do that, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead, subscribe. That way you will never miss another English lesson. Also, please hit that like button so other English learners can find the channel. It really helps a lot. Thank you so much.
Authorities in Utah are poring over what they call a mountain of evidence against 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, the man authorities say fired that single fatal shot, killing Charlie Kirk. The district attorney saying they hope to file charges by tomorrow, but authorities say they're receiving little help from the suspect who turned himself in Thursday.
He's not cooperating, but all the people around him are cooperating.
English phrasal verbs, these give English learners such a hard time. Well, don't worry. You are going to learn one right now. Poured over. They used it in the newscast, and it means looked at something very carefully. The detectives pored over the photos to find a clue. I am sure you pore over your English notes every day. Do you take notes while you watch these English lessons? I know some people do. Next, they talk about a district attorney. A district attorney is the main lawyer for the government in a city or a county. The district attorney spoke to the news about the case. Now, the man they say killed Charlie Kirk will get a defense attorney. The district attorney and the defense attorney will battle each other in court. A jury will decide if this man actually killed Charlie Kirk or if he is not guilty. But according to the news report, there is a mountain of evidence against this guy. That simply means a lot of proof or facts. Here's a sentence using mountain of evidence. The police had a mountain of evidence against the suspect. Here, the man who is accused of killing Charlie Kirk would be called the suspect. The district attorney will file charges against him. That means to officially say someone broke the law. The district attorney will file charges tomorrow. We have mentioned suspect before. Let's get the official definition. A suspect is a person who may have done something wrong. In the United States, we say people are innocent until they are proven guilty in court. The police questioned the suspect about the robbery. This suspect turned himself in. That means he went to the police to admit or face accusations. Right now, people are accusing him of killing Charlie Kirk. He is having many accusations against him. After 2 days, he turned himself in at the station. In the news report, they said the suspect was not cooperating with the police, but others around him are cooperating. Cooperating means working or helping together. In that picture, you can see it looks like students are cooperating. They are helping each other on a project. Here's a sentence. The students are cooperating to finish the group project.
He's not cooperating, but all the people around him are cooperating.
Utah's governor saying they have interviewed Robinson's roommate, with whom they say he was romantically involved. Authorities say it was his own father who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office after seeing those grainy pictures that were shared with the public.
This man had a roommate. In the news report, they say they were romantically linked or something like that. So yes, they live together. Let's talk about what a roommate is. That is a person you share a room or apartment with. So he had a roommate. They were romantically linked, which is another way to say they were dating. And apparently the roommate is cooperating with the police or the authorities. My roommate and I share the kitchen and the living room. They mentioned some grainy photographs in the news report. That means not clear or smooth, like a low quality photo. The old video was grainy, but you could still see the car. And if you look at that picture, it does look rather old and grainy, but you can see clearly there is a car there.
And according to the New York Times, those images were also recognized by acquaintances of the suspect in a group chat on a messaging app. Several of the group members apparently joking with the alleged shooter about how he resembled the person in the photos. The messages described by the Times reportedly show one user tagging the suspect's username and asking, "Where are you at?" with a skull emoji. Suspect quickly responding that the man in the picture was his doppelganger and that people were trying to get him in trouble.
Acquaintances. Those are people you know a little, but not close friends. We are not close friends, just acquaintances from school. Not easy to say, right? Acquaintances. Have you ever heard, hey, you resemble that famous person? What does it mean if you resemble somebody? It means you look like or was similar to. The new teacher resembled my uncle. And in the picture, you can see that student has his phone out and is looking at a picture of his uncle, and the teacher kind of resembles that person. Skull. Do you know this word? Skull. It's the bones inside your head. There's a picture of a skull right there. The doctor showed a picture of the human skull. Doppelganger. This is a word from German. Sometimes you'll see that A at the end have a couple little dots over it. But since this is an English lesson, we don't have that kind of A in English. I wrote it in the English way, doppelganger. That is a person who looks almost exactly like someone else. She met a stranger who was her doppelganger. Very fun to say, doppelganger.
Law enforcement is now reviewing this video obtained by TMZ, which appears to show the suspect walking towards campus at 8:07 a.m. In another video obtained by TMZ is a man appearing to match the description of the alleged shooter. Police say he appears to walk with a stiff right leg. Law enforcement sources telling us they believe he was hiding his long gun underneath his clothing. Hours later, as Charlie Kirk fired up the crowd, tossing out hats, authorities say the suspect made his way to the roof of a building about 175 yards from the stage and waited out of sight. At 12:22 p.m., investigators say the alleged shooter sprang into that sniper position. A minute later, at 12:23 p.m., Kirk began answering a question about gun violence.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
The suspect taking that single shot and then dropping off the roof. And this morning, tributes are pouring in for Kirk, who turned out millions of young voters for President Trump's re-election campaign and whose ultra-conservative views earned him a massive online following, as well as many detractors.
Obtained, that just means got or received something. He obtained his French passport after living in France for only 2 years. And I guess it is possible to move to France and get a passport within 2 years, but it is not very common. It usually takes 5 to 7 years to get a French passport. Alleged. You will hear this a lot when talking about crimes before a trial. Alleged means said to be true, but not proven. The suspect is the alleged killer. The alleged thief denied the accusations. In the newscast, they said he was walking with like a stiff leg. Maybe he was hiding that long rifle in his pants, but stiff means hard to move, not flexible. My neck felt stiff after sleeping on the couch. And it seems as I get older, if my pillow is not perfect, I will wake up with a stiff neck. Very sad getting old. Fired up. Great English phrasal verb to know here. It means very excited or angry. The team was fired up for the championship game. And you can see in the picture, that is the Angolan soccer team, or at least that's what AI thinks the Angolan soccer team might look like. And today I am wearing my Angolan flag tie. I have many students in my classroom who are originally from Angola. Little shout out to anyone who might be watching from Angola. We have a few tiny words in English like get, take, make that can be very hard. They have so many different definitions. Well, this simple little saying here, made their way or made his way, it can be very confusing, but it means went or traveled to a place. He made his way through the crowd to the exit. If I wanted to do an English lesson about the word get, it would probably be several hours long. They mentioned roof in the newscast, but in my classroom, we've been talking about the difference between roof and ceiling, and I thought this might help you as well. The roof is the outside of a building. The ceiling is the top of the inside of a building. Take a look at that picture. The rain hit the roof while we painted the ceiling. Sprang. Love this word, sprang. It's the past tense of like spring. That means jumped or moved quickly. The cat sprang onto the table to catch the toy. Sprang up is an English phrasal verb. You might hear something like, I sprang up out of my chair when I heard the loud noise. They mentioned a sniper in the newscast. There is a picture of a sniper. It is a person who shoots from a hidden place, usually with a long gun, and a sniper usually shoots a target from very far away. The movie showed a sniper watching from the hill. A lot of people are paying tribute to Charlie Kirk. Some people online are paying tribute to Charlie Kirk. I have many friends who have done that. Tributes are actions or words that show respect or thanks. Yeah, my social media is crazy. A lot of my friends are saying they are getting off social media for a little while just because everybody is being so mean to each other. Fans left flowers and tributes at the singer's memorial. Another English phrasal verb here. Native English speakers love to use this. Pour in or pours in. It means comes in quickly and in large amounts. Donations began to pour in after the news story aired. Ultra conservative. When I hear conservative, I think Republican, like Donald Trump's political party. When I hear progressive, that's the opposite. That would be what Democrats are sometimes called, progressives. Well, Charlie Kirk was an ultra conservative. That means having very traditional or strict political or social views. For example, he would have loved to have lived 100 years ago or 200 years ago. He believed the way things were done in the old days were better. A lot of older people in the United States are conservatives or like really, really conservative. You could call them ultra conservatives. Her grandfather is ultra conservative about family rules. And I'm not sure what AI was thinking when they made that picture. I mean, it looks like a family gathering, but almost everybody is dressed alike. Charlie Kirk had a lot of detractors. Detractors are people who criticize or say bad things about someone or something. Despite his detractors, the artist kept painting. I mean, look at this picture here. Whoever this artist is, he has made a lot of people mad. You can see a sign that says, "No talent. Quit now." Oh, that's horrible. Not art. I can't imagine that makes the artist feel very good to have so many detractors. That is it. You made it to the end of another English lesson. Congratulations. If you're looking for more English lessons, right down there is an English lesson I did about Putin launching drones into Poland. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Welcome back to another English lesson. We have a lot to talk about. The UN got together in New York. A lot of world leaders attended. Trump was there, and he said some things that are going to make maybe his former friends angry. People like Putin.
In Putin, and he's been fighting hard. He's been fighting long, and they lost millions. They lost like 1 million soldiers. And you know, with all of the heavy bombardment over the last 2 weeks, they've gained almost no land.
People like Benjamin Netanyahu. So in today's English lesson, we are going to talk about a lot of things. We'll talk about the war in Ukraine. We'll talk about the entire region around Israel, Gaza, the West Bank. Recently, some countries like France and Canada said they are going to recognize Palestine. And that goes against what President Trump is trying to do. He also said some things to President Zelensky, who was there in New York, that are going to make Putin mad. If that sounds good to you, let's get started with this English lesson. Wait, before we do, if you don't mind hitting that like button, it just helps other English learners find the channel, and it really supports me. We are going to watch an interview with Fox News, so be careful. If you know anything about Fox News, they really like Trump. They are pretty much Republicans, and they are going to interview a retired 4-star general, meaning he used to be in the U.S. military. Therefore, he really loves the United States. He really loves Trump. So he might be seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. That is an idiom. I know the man in the picture is wearing glasses, but you do not need to wear glasses to see the world or a situation in rose-colored glasses. So let's take a look at the definition. It means to see things as better than they really are. And this General Keane, I think he sees things better than they are. He just assumes everyone is going to love Trump and the United States, and I know that's not true. Let's look at a sentence that uses rose-colored glasses. He looked at the past with rose-colored glasses, forgetting the bad things or the bad times. Let's watch that interview together, and then I will come back and teach all of the difficult terms. Lots of idioms and phrasal verbs in this one.
Tests expected today here in New York City as Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be speaking at the United Nations. He's expected to condemn countries who recently recognized Palestinian statehood. Meanwhile, President Trump is pushing back on the possibility of Israel annexing all the West Bank.
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen. There's been enough. It's time to stop now.
Retired 4-star General Jack Keane just returned from Israel and joins us now to tell us what he found out. General, what should we know about the operation in Gaza City and the mood in Israel itself?
So I'm not sure if you would agree, but it seems like Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and Trump are pretty good friends. But Trump was pushing back against what Netanyahu wanted to do in the West Bank. We'll talk about the West Bank in a little bit, but let's get that English phrasal verb out of the way, pushing back. It means fighting against or resisting something. Now in the picture, we can see there is a teacher, and it looks like she might be giving out a lot of homework. Let's use that English phrasal verb in a sentence. The students pushed back when the teacher gave too much homework. Annexing. They talked about that in the interview. So Israel wants to annex the West Bank. Trump pushed back and said, no, you've done too much. You've destroyed Gaza, killed tens of thousands of people. I'm not going to let you do this. So what does it mean if a country tries to annex part of another country? That means taking land and making it part of your country, usually by war. So let's take a look at that picture. This is just a random piece of land. Who knows? This could apply to Russia and Ukraine. Russia is trying to annex parts of Ukraine. The country was annexing land from its neighbor, the West Bank. I can put up a map right now showing you where Israel is, where Gaza is, where the West Bank is. There you will know what we call those territories, those pieces of land. They're not countries, the West Bank and Gaza. Some people might call it part of Palestine. But the West Bank is an area of land near Israel that is often in the news because of conflict. Many people live in the West Bank, but there are often fights about who controls it. I have memberships. If you would like to become a member, you will get a bonus English lesson each week. And this week's English lesson is going to be a quiz about all of these terms we talk about today. If you want more information on becoming a channel member, take a look at the comments. There is a link you can click on. It will give you more information.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. First of all, I've never seen such pro-American attitude among the population in Israel. It's always been solid, but it's really over the top as a result of the United States supporting Israel unequivocally with weapons and also with that decisive attack. And the praise for President Trump is everywhere you go, once they recognize that we're Americans. And by the way, Fox News and Fox Business plays 24/7 there, so they're very familiar with what we're talking about right now today. I think what we see in front of us, the challenges are finish Hamas in Gaza, keep their foot on Hezbollah. They've conducted over 1,000 attacks. They will not let them build capabilities in southern Lebanon again. That's never going to happen. And think of this. Lebanon is now talking about forcing Hezbollah to disarm. Who would have ever thought would be on that page?
Here we're talking about solid, like a solid friendship or a solid relationship. It means strong and dependable. You can see in the picture, those two friends look like they have a solid friendship. Here's a sentence. They have a solid friendship and always help each other. Up until recently, it seemed like Putin and Trump had a solid relationship. But in a minute, we'll find out Trump is saying things that's going to make Putin pretty upset. Trump might say what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza is over the top. Here we have another English idiom. It means too much or more extreme than normal. I'm not exactly sure what is going on in this picture. It looks like a mom maybe is cleaning up. Hang on, let's get rid of this. And she left a crumb behind. Like this little kid's reaction, it might be over the top. Like maybe he should clean that crumb up instead, but he is having a pretty big reaction. We could say that his reaction was over the top. His reaction was over the top when he shouted about a small mistake. Unequivocally is next. I think that's kind of hard to say. Unequivocally. Unequivocally, it's a very advanced term. If you are still watching this English lesson, you must be a very advanced English learner because some of these words are very difficult. Unequivocally, it means clearly, with no doubt. Take a look at the picture. She said unequivocally that she would not support the plan to work later on a Friday night. And hey, guess what? I don't blame her. Who wants to work late on a Friday night? Keep their foot on something. Sometimes you will hear keep their foot on the gas. They didn't use it in this interview, but it's similar to the definition down there. It means to keep pressure or control, not letting up. We have a soccer match here. The team kept their foot on the gas and won the game easily. Do you know that English phrasal verb I just used, to let up? It means like not to slow down, not to relax.
That is a game changer right there. And certainly the Abraham Accords are not dead despite all the radioactive activity surrounding the Qatar attack. They still want to make a deal. Maybe not immediately, but over time. That is positive. And lots of talk about what to do about Gaza. Nothing definite about it for sure. One thing I was struck by, they've done some informal surveys, and there's a number of Gazans who'd be willing to relocate to another country voluntarily.
Right.
That is interesting of itself. A lot of work to be done here, and we'll listen to what the Prime Minister has to say here. But he's going to take a strong stand.
Great.
I compare him to Churchill. Absolute resolve and determination to focus on what the real objectives are, and will let nothing interfere with him in accomplishing those objectives.
We have another English idiom here, a game changer. A game changer is something that completely changes a situation. The new phone was a game changer in technology. I hope this English lesson is a game changer when it comes to your English learning. The Abraham Accords, these are agreements between Israel and some Arab countries to work together peacefully. Now, that retired general thinks that Qatar and Israel might have some sort of agreement when it comes to these Abraham Accords. I mean, Israel did just bomb Qatar, so I don't know. He sees things through rose-colored glasses, remember. The Abraham Accords helped Israel make peace with more neighbors. What if something is informal? It means casual, not official. And in the picture, you can see two people are having an informal business meeting. I mean, it looks like they are at a coffee shop, maybe somewhere in Italy. We had an informal meeting at the coffee shop. Now, I don't know about this, but General Keane says people in Gaza are willing to relocate. Relocate, it means to move to a new place. Take a look at that picture. On one side, it looks like we have some pyramids, that triangle-shaped thing. And on the other side, we have a windmill. My family will relocate from Cairo to Amsterdam next year for business. A lot of people will relocate for business. Here we have an English adverb, voluntarily. Voluntarily, it means doing something by choice, not forced. The verb form, which we will use in the sentence next, is volunteered. We'll actually use the verb and the adverb right here. She volunteered to help voluntarily at the soup kitchen because she wanted to give back to her community. Now, you probably don't need the verb and the adverb in the same sentence. I just wanted to show you how they were used. We also have a noun form of this word, and it is a volunteer.
Absolute resolve and determination to focus on what the real objectives are, and will let nothing interfere with him in accomplishing those objectives.
And if
Roosevelt, President Trump, supporting him down the road to achieve those objectives, and also providing some counsel and guidance along with it, which you would expect in a relationship like that.
General, something else happened. The president had a dramatic change of at least public display in terms of support for Ukraine. Part of a Truth Social, which I think is titanic and a change. Russia, he said this, Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a military power less than a week. This is not a distinguishing Russia. In fact, it's very much makes them look like a paper tiger. It looks like he's been reading the Institute study of war. Do you think this is the president's new resolve? And do you think that he sees what Putin's doing? A thug that can't be trusted.
Yeah, he's come to this conclusion certainly after the Alaska summit. He knows full well that what Putin told him, that he was willing to meet with Zelensky and then have a three-party meeting following that. And, you know, within 24 hours, his people are saying, oh, there was never any commitment. So President Trump has known what he said in Truth Social for some time.
Resolve, it has a couple meanings in English. It could mean to fix a problem, or it could be to decide firmly, and that's the way they used it in the newscast. I hope this is true for you. Maybe you decided to do this. He had the resolve to study English for the rest of their life. Hang on, that sentence is correct, but I did change the pronoun. I will reread it. He had the resolve to study English for the rest of his life. Again, this guy, General Keane, is seeing things through rose-colored glasses. He says Netanyahu will accept counsel and guidance from Trump. I'm not sure if that is true, but let's talk about what counsel and guidance is. They're basically the same thing. It's advice and support to help someone. Teachers often give counsel and guidance. The teacher gave counsel and guidance to the worried student. Titanic means extremely large, like the famous ship. About 30 years ago, there was a very famous movie, at least here in the United States, about the sinking of the Titanic. That happened in maybe like 1914 or something. Very large ship was sailing across the Atlantic Ocean. It hit an iceberg and it sank, killing over 1,000 people. But Titanic in English means just like very big. The company made a titanic effort to finish the project. Aimlessly, that means without direction or purpose. Now, this is Deer Park in New Delhi, India. I was actually there this past summer. He walked aimlessly around the park, not knowing where to go. And it looks like he has a map out. So sometimes people will walk aimlessly when they don't know where to go. Oh no, AI made this slide and they spelled aimlessly wrong. We have another idiom here, a paper tiger. President Trump called Putin's Russian army a paper tiger. That means something that looks strong but is actually weak. Here is some random army from the past. The army looked big, but it was a paper tiger with no real power. Be careful with this word. Fox News used thug. I probably wouldn't use this word in real life, but it is a violent person who often breaks the law. I mean, take a look at that picture. That person is clearly breaking the law. Yes, you could call them a thug. The thugs stole money from the store and ran away. I want to congratulate you on making it to the end of this very difficult English lesson. If you want to test yourself, see how much you remember, go ahead, become a channel member. There is a link in the comments and the description. See you next time. Channel members, thank you so much for being channel members. Today, I have a little quiz for you. Recently, maybe a couple minutes ago, I released a English lesson about some things that Trump said that probably made his friends like Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu angry. And in that lesson, there were like 19 terms. And we will go over most of them again today in the form of a multiple choice quiz. We can take this together. I asked AI to create a multiple choice quiz based on those words, and this is what they came up with. So I am going to make myself really small. Well, I can't do that, can I? Let's do something like this. There we go. So you can kind of see me, which isn't that important. But you can see the questions, which is very important. And I can see the questions without my glasses. Yeah, I'm getting older. It's very sad, I guess. I turn 50 soon. And my eyes are not what they used to be. So it is harder for me to see. But if I make it big like that, it would be amazing. But we can't see the choice for letter D. So I'll do this. Rose-colored glasses. For each of these terms,
there will be 4 choices, but only one is correct. So what does it mean if someone sees life with rose-colored glasses? They only see good things. They wear red glasses. They are angry. They cannot see clearly. Well, I definitely can't see clearly without my glasses. And unfortunately, if I do wear glasses, there is a glare from the lights that I'm using. So I can't wear glasses, but hopefully I gave you enough time to figure out that the correct answer for this question is A. They only see the good things. It is an English idiom. Next one, pushing back. We have an English phrasal verb. I feel bad for the students in my class and for you watching right now because those English idioms are insanely difficult. English, I think, is an easy language to learn like the basics of, but to fully understand what the news is talking about or what native English speakers are saying in daily conversations, it's very difficult because we use so many English phrasal verbs. Like you might know the verb to push, but when you add the back, pushing back, it slightly changes that verb, the meaning of that verb. And some phrasal verbs have nothing to do with the original verb. So let's look at this, pushing back. If a student is pushing back, what are they doing? Sleeping in class, resisting or fighting against something, running away, smiling. Hopefully you didn't say sleeping in class. That really doesn't make too much sense with pushing back. Hopefully you said B. That is the correct answer. Ooh, this is a little smaller, but hopefully I can see it. Annexing. We talked about that in the English lesson that Israel wants to annex the West Bank. Trump said no. He was pushing back against that. But what does annexing mean in English? Is it A, building a school? Is it taking land and making it part of your country? Let me make that a little bigger. Yeah, you can see still. Is it planting trees or is it selling land? So hopefully you're saying no. A, C, that really makes no sense. So it has something to do with land, but it's not selling. The correct answer is B. The next one, the West Bank. What is that in English? Is it a type of money? Well, we do have bank there, so it could be a type of money. Is it a river in the United States? Is it an area of land near Israel that is often in conflict? Or is it a famous bank? Well, D is like sort of the right answer. Like it could be a right answer. But when you're taking tests like the IELTS or TOEFL exam, they always try to trick you. So that's why they'll say choose the best answer. So the best answer would be C. But we also have like a riverbank in English. It means like the land that's on the side of a river. So we have one word, but multiple meanings. Very difficult stuff here. All right, solid. We're talking about like a solid relationship or a solid friendship. Is it fake? Is it weak? Is it strong and dependable, or is it temporary, meaning lasting only for a short period of time? Hopefully you said C. A solid relationship is strong and dependable. Over the top, we have an English idiom here. If someone's reaction is over the top, it is normal, it is too much or extreme, it's very quiet, or it's very boring. Hopefully for this one, you said B. And please let me know if you would like in the comments after we take the test. Tell me how many you got correct. I would be curious to know. And let me know, is this too easy or is it too difficult? This is a word I have trouble saying sometimes, so I often don't say it in my everyday conversations, but it's unequivocally. Unequivocally. What does it mean? Slowly. With no doubt. Very clear. C. Secretly. Or D. With fear. This could be kind of difficult, so I will stall. I will give you a little more time, but hopefully you said unequivocally means B. With no doubt, very clear. What if someone kept their foot on something, somebody? Now, this is an idiom. It has nothing to do with a foot, but I think it comes from like a gas pedal on a car. Hopefully, that's not too much of a hint, but I think that's where that idiom comes from. So, if a team keeps their foot on the gas, they stop playing, keep pressure, and don't slow down, drive a car, or take a break. B. I think that's the right answer, right? Keep pressure on and don't slow down. Maybe when you're learning English every day, you keep your foot on it. You really try hard. What is a game changer? I'm hoping this English channel is a game changer for your English learning. A game changer is something that changes the situation completely. Is it a board game? I mean, it does have game in the word or the term. Is it a small mistake or is it a coach? Well, this could be a little tough because a coach could be a game changer. Like if a team is losing all the time, they get a new coach and now that team is winning. The coach could be a game changer, but it's not always a game changer. The coach is not always a game changer. The best answer here is A, something that completely changes the situation. Or maybe I should read that correctly. Something that changes the situation completely. The Abraham Accords are a peace agreement between Israel and some Arab countries. It's a book. It's a group of soldiers. It's a famous speech. Now, it's an agreement between Israel and some other Arab countries. Now, I didn't mention this in the English lesson, but there's also something called the Camp David Accords, and that is also between Israel and what other nation? Here's a bonus question. The Camp David Accords. President Carter helped broker those. This happened in the late 1970s between Israel and what other country? Egypt. So these Abraham Accords are newer. I believe like Jordan is involved in this. Jordan and Israel actually have a pretty decent relationship. And I don't know if they talk a lot, but at least there's like no conflict between those two countries. And that guy, General Keane, was saying that maybe Qatar would agree, and not Lebanon, but Lebanon was actually trying to get Hezbollah out of their country. I think Saudi Arabia is one of the countries being talked about for the Abraham Accords. And I think they were close to an agreement, but then October 7th happened and that kind of got pushed back. So, and I use that English phrasal verb differently. Pushed back, the way I just used it, means like delayed or took like a little longer. So we'll see what happens with those Abraham Accords. The next one, informal. What is an informal meeting? It's very official. Hope you don't say that one. Little hint there. It happens at a big office. It's casual and not very official, or it's expensive. Well, hopefully you said C. An informal meeting is casual and not official. If you remember, I had a picture of two people having a business meeting at a coffee shop. Relocate. What does that mean? If a family relocates, they move to a new place. They stay in the same house. Well, those two things are the opposite. They buy new clothes or they visit friends. Well, relocating is more official than just like going to a place and visiting friends. So that one is not a great answer. The best answer would be A. Relocate means move to a new place. What if they do it voluntarily? Voluntarily. It is an adverb. If you do something voluntarily, it means you're forced to do it. A. You choose to do it. B. You're paid. Or you are angry. Well, someone who volunteers, here's the thing, they don't get paid. So it's the opposite of C. I believe, yeah, the correct answer is B. So A is the opposite. You're not forced to do it. And C is actually the opposite too. 13, counsel and guidance. These two words are slightly different, but they're used in the interview together. So let's talk about them together. Counsel and guidance means money and gifts, advice and support, punishment, or silence. Hopefully you said B, advice and support. Okay, let me take a look at these two words. Counsel, it can be a noun, it can be a verb, but we also have a person who is a counselor, and that person is a professional. They give advice. You might see counselors at my school has counselors. So these are people who can give advice on life. If a student is having problems with school, outside of school, the counselor can give them advice, or they can help them with their like future schooling, like maybe going to college, what their life will be like after they finish high school. We also have college counselors, and they do pretty much the same thing at college. That's it. Okay, we don't have all, there were 19 terms, so there are 15 questions here. But if you look in the description, all of the questions are written if you want to take this on your own just by looking at it. And of course, you can rewatch this. But thanks so much for being channel members. See you next time. Is Putin evil, or is he just really dumb? Is he really bad at his job? We might ask, is he inept in English? The world is becoming a very strange place. The US sent ships to Venezuela. Israel bombed a neutral country in Qatar. And now Russian drones have flown over Poland. Even President Trump said, hey, this might be an accident.
Reaction to Russian drone incursion into Poland.
Could have been a mistake.
But these accidents happen quite a bit with Putin. Now, I must say, I do love the Russian people. I have many friends who are Russian. The people of a country aren't all bad. Sometimes it's just the governments. And I know my own government, the United States, has done some horrible things in the past. But Putin will bomb a playground where kids are playing. Putin will bomb an apartment building where civilians live. Does he do this on purpose, or is he just bad at his job? In today's English lesson, we are going to watch a newscast from Fox News. Now, keep in mind, they are Republicans. They do love people like President Trump. Before we watch that news clip, please go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe. It really helps the channel. And let's watch that clip together.
Poland is on high alert after NATO warplanes shoot down Russian drones that flew deep into Polish airspace. Chief correspondent, foreign correspondent Trey Yingst joins us live from Kyiv. Trey.
Yeah, Brian, good morning. Overnight, Russia launched another massive attack against Ukraine, but this time sent 19 drones into Poland. The incident triggered a NATO response with fighter jets scrambling from Western Europe to assist. Polish officials say at least 4 of the drones were shot down as the country briefly closed its airspace and diverted flights from major airports.
They talk about Poland being on high alert. What does that mean? It means a state of being very watchful and ready for danger. I have a sentence that uses high alert. The Polish army is on high alert after the drones entered their airspace. They also talked to a correspondent. I almost think that is the same word or almost the same in Russian, but correspondent. That is a reporter who sends news from another place. Let's look at a sentence that uses correspondent. The correspondent in Warsaw shared updates on TV about the drone incident. This is a great word to know. You might see it on the IELTS or TOEFL exam, and that word is massive. It means very big or very large. If
If you look at that picture, I mean, that is a massive tree. The drones caused a massive concern across the country. Yeah, airplanes carrying passengers were not able to take off for a while because the airspace over Poland was pretty dangerous with these drones. Next, we have triggered. It is a verb and it means caused something to happen. The air raid siren was triggered when the drones were spotted. And in the picture, that is what we call an air raid siren. It will make a loud noise if there is danger. Here's another sentence that uses triggered. The leader's assassination triggered a civil war. Please let me interrupt this English lesson for just a second. If you are looking for a speaking partner, I can be your speaking partner. If you check out the description below, there is a link that will take you to learn more information. It does cost some money, but I have been teaching for 20 years. I will not steer you wrong. Yes, it does cost money, but right now I am offering a coupon for 10% off. Use the code SUMMER10 at checkout to get your 10% off. Scrambling. Scrambling, that means moving quickly to respond to a problem. And they talked about those Polish jets scrambling. Polish jets were scrambling to check the skies, but sometimes this happens to me in the morning. Maybe I can't find my phone. I usually have my phone on me, so I don't often lose it, but sometimes when I'm running late for work, I might be scrambling to find my phone. I scrambled around this morning looking for my phone. Diverted. Diverted is next. It means sent in a different direction. And in the picture, you can see a sign saying traffic is diverted. Maybe they are working on the road and it would be unsafe to have people drive on that part of the road, so they had to go a different way. Civilian planes were diverted away from the area for safety. Traffic was diverted because of the accident.
Polish officials say at least 4 of the drones were shot down as the country briefly closed its airspace and diverted flights from major airports. The Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk released a statement following the incident saying, quote, "My thanks and congratulations to the Polish Operational Command and our NATO pilots for shooting down Russian drones over Poland. Actions speak louder than words."
We often say actions speak louder than words. You might hear that if you are having a conversation in English. That just means what people do is more important than what they say. Let's take a country like the United States. President Trump has been saying a lot. He has been saying what Putin is doing is bad, but he really hasn't done anything about it.
Tusk has now invoked Article 4 of NATO, meaning that consultations will take place with NATO members about a security assessment and a possible response. You can see some of the damage caused by this drone incursion in the aftermath video taken from eastern Poland. The EU condemned this event, with the Commission president saying this.
And just today we have seen a reckless and unprecedented violation of Poland and Europe's airspace by more than 10 Russian Shahid drones. Europe stands in full solidarity with Poland.
Invoked. It's a very official word. It means officially used a rule or law. Poland invoked NATO rules to ask for a meeting. NATO. Do you know that? NATO. It's a group of countries who formed a bond, and if one country is attacked, they all will attack back. We'll talk about Article 5 in just a minute, but Article 4 has been invoked because of those Russian drones. Article 4 says a NATO rule for members to consult each other when threatened. If you don't know what consult means, we're going to talk about it right after Rule 5. But Poland has invoked Article 4. Article 5 is more serious, and that is a rule saying that an attack on one member is an attack on all. Article 5 has only been invoked once, and that was after September 11th, 2001,
When the United States was attacked, planes flew into buildings. My students in my classroom are very young, and I was surprised to hear that some of them had no idea about September 11th. Let's look at a sentence that talks about that. The only time Article 5 has been invoked was after the September 11th attacks in 2001. Consultations, that's the noun. Consult is the verb, and it means meetings to talk and decide what to do. NATO leaders held consultations to plan their response. In the picture, it looks like that couple is having a consultation. Maybe they are meeting with a financial advisor, somebody to help them with their money. So the man that is facing the camera, we would call him a consultant. He is someone who handles consultations. He is someone who consults with other people. She worked as a consultant for a big financial company in New York. Next, we have a tricky English phrasal verb. Anytime we use the word take in English, it can be a little difficult. It can be a little tricky, but take place simply means to happen. The NATO meeting will take place tomorrow morning. In the picture, you can see there is a baseball game taking place. You could say something like, the baseball game will take place tomorrow. The baseball game will take place at the stadium. Incursion, that means an unwanted entry into a place. The drones were called an incursion into Polish airspace. Condemned. We have a couple different meanings in English, but in the news report, they used it like this. Said very strongly that something is wrong. European leaders condemned Russia's actions. Reckless. Yeah, Putin acted pretty recklessly when he sent those drones into Polish airspace. Who knows? Maybe by mistake? I don't know. It seemed intentional. That's the opposite of something done by mistake. Reckless means not caring about danger or risk. The Polish president said the drone attack was reckless. And if you look in the picture, it looks like that person is drinking alcohol, and they are also behind the wheel of a car. Drinking alcohol and driving is very reckless.
Of Poland and Europe's airspace by more than 10 Russian Shahid drones. Europe stands in full solidarity with Poland.
In addition to the events in Poland, Ukraine came under heavy bombardment with more than 400 Russian drones and 20 missiles. Brian?
All right, Trey, that is amazing. They basically went after a NATO ally. So I don't know how long we're going to sit on the sidelines with this.
Right.
Trey Yinks, thanks.
Thank you. What does that mean for the other countries that are involved, including the United States? Can we get involved?
You have to well, yeah. I mean, we could get involved. If they say that they're targeting Poland, that would trigger a NATO alliance to respond.
There's something not right going on with Putin right now. He's escalating. You thought that the peace talks were heading in the right direction, and it looks like he's not taking the president's olive branch right now.
This is what Poland was worried about.
Next, we have Shahed drones. Let's talk about them. This is a type of drone made in Iran, often used by Russia. Shahed drones are also known as kamikaze drones. Maybe we should talk about the word kamikaze. I know this from World War II when Japan used kamikaze pilots. Now, I have to be careful how I explain this because YouTube sometimes gets mad when we say certain things, but these kamikaze pilots would take their planes and fly them into ships, and I will let you guess what happened to the plane, the ship, and also the pilot. Solidarity. NATO says they will act in solidarity with Poland. That means support and unity, like one thing, unity with others. Other NATO countries showed solidarity with Poland. Bombardment. Bombardment, pretty fun to say, but not actually fun to see. It means a heavy attack, usually with bombs or missiles. How about this sentence with bombardment? The border town, so it's a town on the border, could be with Poland and Russia or Poland and Ukraine. The border town feared a bombardment after the drone warning went after. This is another English phrasal verb that can give English learners trouble. It means try to catch or punish someone. Polish jets went after the drones that crossed the border. Very sad news out of the United States. I'm not sure how many people knew of a guy named Charlie Kirk. He was a Republican. He was friends with President Trump. But the United States government is going after Charlie Kirk's killer. Yeah, at the time of recording this English lesson, nobody knows where Charlie Kirk's killer is. As I edit this video, it does seem like Charlie Kirk's killer has been found. He is a 22-year-old from the state of Utah. Sitting on the sidelines. This is an idiom. The sidelines in a sporting game would be like the place where players aren't playing. Maybe they are waiting to get onto the field. The people who are watching the game are sitting on the sidelines, but they're not actually playing in the game. Sitting on the sidelines here means to watch and not take part. You're not participating if you're sitting on the sidelines. NATO said it would not sit on the sidelines if Poland was attacked. Another idiom here, extending an olive branch. That means offering peace or trying to make friends after a conflict. Some leaders suggested extending an olive branch to reduce tensions. Congratulations, you made it to the end of a rather difficult English lesson. If you're looking for more English lessons about the bad news that is going on in the world right now, there's one right down there for you. Israel attacking Doha. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Hello, and welcome back to another English lesson. This is a hotel English lesson. This is your first time here. My name is Brent, and during a hotel English lesson, I cannot stop teaching English until I reach my hotel room. I'm coming to you from Delhi, India. Look at this. You can see a picture of Modi. And we have a scooter coming and a street dog, a couple street dogs. But yeah, it just rained here. I just arrived at my Airbnb. So I don't know this area too well. This dog doesn't like me. I'm gonna keep moving. But my Airbnb is right down this alley, and it was pouring out. I would have gotten drenched. Do you know that word? It means when you get really, really wet. But my Airbnb host, he had my WhatsApp number, and he said, I will come out and meet you with an umbrella. And he did, and he walked me right to the door, and the door is right here. And the reason I booked this Airbnb, give you a little shot of the alley down here. This is the door, DD Homestay. But maybe we should go down the alley and see what's down here a little bit while I tell you the story of my host. Yeah, so he met me, it was just pouring. The Uber I had taken had stopped because there was so much traffic. And he said, I will come out, meet you with an umbrella. He gave me an umbrella, and I did not get drenched. And I will show you the room he took me to a little later. I'm on the 3rd floor, and like on the 2nd floor, he has like a little welcome room. Let's see what's going on here. I don't know, this looks like some kind of fort. I don't even know, the rain was so bad. I think he met me over here. Or maybe it was where I started the English lesson. The rain was coming down so hard, I didn't know where we were, but he took really good care of me. I don't know how to say his name. But what I've noticed too, a lot of people in India have trouble saying my name, Brent. The R is hard. So all these doors look alike. like some man's name right there. Maybe a retired lieutenant colonel. Okay, so I'm already lost. Where is my door? Okay, I'm looking for DD Homestead. DD Homestead. It is right here. Now, because I can't stop teaching English, I cheated. These are my keys. One for this door outside and one for my room, but it probably would take me a while to open this door, so I left it unlocked. Now, I think I just have to push this. When I first arrived, I think he would have come down and met me, but also said, watch out for mosquitoes. So let me shut this door. And very steep stairs. So you will probably hear me breathe heavily. Okay. That is secure. It's shut. Uh-oh. It's starting to flicker. We need to get where there is more light. And like I said, these stairs are steep, so maybe you will hear me breathing heavily. There's a refrigerator. I don't want to open it. I have a refrigerator in my room, but I'm going to take my shoes off. Look at that, might be the umbrella that he used for me. It is still wet. This looks like a sink. Somebody might brush their teeth there. Yeah, this little thing, I have one of these in my room and it's for mosquitoes, but his son showed me my room and he said that 99.9% of the time I won't see a mosquito, but if I do, plug that little thing that I have in my room in. Okay, here's the room. I'm not sure if he's in here. Oh, it's nice in here. But here's the room that he met me in. So I sat down right here and he had, I think I took a picture of it. I will show you the picture, but he had a nice spread for me. Tea, buttered toast, and some little crackers. I don't think I took a picture of the buttered toast. And here I signed this book. He has a few rooms here, so he always has people staying with him. I did see a couple Americans. In fact, there is another American staying here from Georgia. So it's on the same coast, the East Coast that I live in. Okay, yeah, I gotta go up. Brace myself here, get ready for these steep stairs. It's on the same coast as my state. He's from Georgia. If you know the city of Atlanta, oh, here we go. And they are Hindus. So on the review for the Airbnb, it said they're vegetarians, so please don't bring in, look at that. So please don't bring in any meat or any eggs. But it is right on the Airbnb, so if you have problems with that, if you want to bring in eggs or meat, you know, don't rent this Airbnb. Filtered water inside. So they said, let's see. Oh, some people are coming, but remember, I can't stop teaching. I can't stop teaching. So it looks like there might be extra water here. Oh yeah, and my Airbnb has plenty of water. I will show you. Uh-oh. It could be awkward here in a minute. Somebody is up there. And these stairs are very narrow. So I might have to wait here for a minute. Oh, they're down there. Okay. We won't have any trouble going upstairs. One more flight of stairs. That's beautiful. I didn't notice that when I came in. Okay, I think my room is just right up here. I'm in 301. And I did not lock my room. Okay, here we go. There's my room. Yeah. So it's hot in the hallway, but in my room, the air conditioning is going. Oh, it's so nice in here. So nice. I have it set at 20 degrees. I'll lock it. 20 degrees Celsius. 3:15 in the afternoon. If you want to hang your coat here, we have a coat rack. Oh, an additional lock. I don't think I will need it. It seems very safe here. But his son said, feel free to have any of these snacks. Filtered water, filtered water, filtered water, all full. Mug for tea, all the tea that I want. This cup for water. These snacks, I will probably eat these at some point tonight. A TV, but if you have seen other English lessons at a hotel, I always say, I will not watch TV. I did not come to India to watch TV. So these look like Hindu gods. Could be Krishna, could be Shiva. I'm not sure. If you know, please let me know in the comments. I should probably ask you to like this video. Some more monuments of Delhi. And tomorrow, I think I will film, but I have a tour where I will be going to 5, 6, 7 different monuments in Delhi. Oh, what is this over here? More coat racks. Look at that. Or we might say coat hooks. Coat hooks. Hair dryer, if I need it. Now that I have hair, maybe I do need it. Shout out to Cab Health. I had a hair transplant last year, so I have more hair. If you want a hair transplant, tell them Brent 10. They will give you 10% off a hair transplant. Okay, not much of a view here. Not much of a view. All right, this is only one room, and of course the bathroom. Some nice flowers here, some extra toilet paper. Yeah, I had a little trouble with my adapter. Because I'm from the United States, you need a different plug here. I finally got it to work. There are a lot of plugs throughout the room, but I only found 2 that would work, and it took me a little while. This one works, and I could have a cord that went to this shelf, but I figured I'm charging my power bank right here with that cord. So right near the bed. Oh, again, the last Airbnb lesson, you might have seen it. I mentioned how the beds here are very firm. And what I mean by firm, not soft. But I slept wonderfully at my last Airbnb. But last night I was at the Imperial. I also filmed that English lesson, and to be honest, I did not sleep that well on the bed. Maybe a new night in a new place, I didn't fall asleep all that quickly. I maybe got 3 or 4 hours of sleep, but tonight on that bed, I think I will sleep very nicely. Okay, very important. Bed, bathroom. Let's take a look. And all of these things are labeled. I know I have to do something here if I want to take a shower, or at least a hot shower. Let's get the light on. So they told me if this, so I flick, or flip. If I flick this on, there will be, I think this is the hot water tank. There will be a light that comes on here. Red means stop. Don't take a shower unless you want cold water. When it turns green, we're good to go. We will have a warm shower. And here, the shower head, nice rainfall shower head. Squeegee, there was one of those in the last Airbnb. So if the floor is wet, you just take the water and squeegee it into the drain. And of course we have, we have a toilet right here. Important toilet with plenty of toilet paper. Oh, bum gun. Let's try it out. Let's see how it works here. Bum gun. There you go. Put that back. And this is interesting. It says, please press flush only once. Press once and release. So if we want to flush the toilet, you don't have to hold this down. There you go, done. And it flushes. Now here's the interesting part. Toilet paper can be flushed in the toilet. If you are traveling to places like South America, when we were in Brazil last year, certainly here in India, if there is a little trash bin near the toilet, that is a good sign that you should not flush the toilet paper down the toilet, because the plumbing, it would clog the toilet. Do you know that word, clog? That means the water would not flow down the pipe. You would have a problem. You would probably have to use a plunger, which I don't see. There's a scrub brush there and some toilet cleaner. But yeah, you would probably need a plunger. And we have a sink. And he has provided toothpaste if you need it. He's also provided, what is this? I would assume some kind of soap. Shampoo if you need it. A little bar of soap. But I have my own soap. I think that's it. Ooh. A fan up there. Now, in the United States, you will not see bathrooms like this where you shower the same floor where the toilet is. You will usually have a tub. So that fan will be useful for getting, I'm not going to take a shower, let's shut that off. It will be useful for drying up, nice phrasal verb there, for drying up the floor after you take a shower. We can lock that, save some energy, shut the light off. I think that is going to do it. My last stay here in Delhi. Tomorrow, I will go home. So I have one more full day here in India, and then a really, really long travel day. It will probably be 27 hours of travel, I believe. So thank you so much for sticking with me this long, all the way until the end. If you would like more English lessons from India, there is a link right down there. Thanks so much. See you next time. Hello and welcome back to another English lesson. I think this English lesson will be super helpful for you. It's going to help you become a better English speaker. But unfortunately, we have to talk about some very sad news out of India. Just yesterday, there was a political rally. A lot of people attended. It was in the Indian state of Tamil Nadu, where like 77 million people live. If we're talking about the United States, California is our biggest state, and it only has about 40 million people. So this is a heavily populated area. A lot of people came out to see this politician. He used to be a movie star. His name is VJ, and unfortunately, things got tight. People got crushed. And in this video, you will see pictures of children being hurt. So if that is something you don't want to see, this is maybe an English lesson you want to skip. If this is your first time here, usually what we do is we watch a news clip together, and then I come back and teach all of the difficult terms they use. That is what we will do in this one. Let's take a look at it, and then I will come back.
This is what star power looks like. Tens of thousands clambering to hear the words of actor and politician Vijay speaking at a rally in southern India. Vijay, a successful actor who goes by only one name, launched a political party last year. He began campaigning this month ahead of state elections, which are set to be held in early 2026, a key piece of the world's largest democracy. But what began as celebration did not end that way. With nowhere to go but towards the campaign bus, the crush meant people not only ran out of room to escape, there was barely enough space to breathe. By the time the rally stopped,
Police sir, please help sir.
It was too late.
So they mentioned star power. Star can be used a couple different ways in English. For instance, you could look up at the night sky and see many stars, but sometimes we talk about really famous people as stars. And if somebody has star power, like this guy VJ has, we might use it like this: the strong ability of a famous person to attract a big crowd. He definitely attracted a big crowd that night. Take a look at this. This is maybe a concert that's happening. There is probably a star performing, and they have star power. Here's a sentence that uses star power. The leader's star power brought thousands of people to the rally, and it caused a stampede. So we should definitely talk about what a stampede is. Super sad that children were lost in this. They passed away. We'll talk about that English phrasal verb in a minute. I just keep seeing, I don't know if I've played it yet, but there is a part in the news clip where you'll see family members who have just lost a child. Very heartbreaking news. But a stampede is a sudden, uncontrolled rush of people or animals. You might have a stampede of cows or horses. That can definitely be dangerous too. But when we're talking about people, people usually get hurt when it's a stampede. A stampede started when too many people pushed forward at the same time. People were clamoring. That means climbing or moving in a difficult way, often using hands and feet. So if you take a look at that picture there, you can see that people are clamoring over fences. People were clamoring over fences to escape the crowd. I've used rally already in this English lesson. The newscast used rally. Let's talk about what a rally is. It's a large public meeting, often for politics. In the United States, we have rallies all the time, not quite ready for democracy yet. We need to talk about a sentence that uses rally. President Trump loves to have rallies all the time. The political rally was held in the city center. Now we're ready for democracy. India is called the world's largest democracy. The United States is a democracy. I don't think places like Iran or North Korea or Russia really are democracies. Let's talk about what a democracy is. It's a system of government where people choose their leaders by voting. So let me know if you live in Iran or Russia. I don't think anyone is watching from North Korea. Do you feel like you can go and vote for your leaders? If you can, that's a democracy. So let's get a sentence that uses democracy. In a democracy, every citizen has the right to vote. In the United States, you do have to be 18 to vote. But here you can see a picture. It does look like this might be taking place in India, and people are going to vote for the politician they want the most. The word crush can be a verb in English, but in the newscast, they said the crush. So here it's a noun. That is when too many people are pressed tightly together, making it dangerous. Here is a sentence that uses crush as a noun. Several people were hurt in the crush near the stage.
Ambulances couldn't get through, limp bodies instead carried out by hand and then by stretcher. The local hospital was overwhelmed as traffic made up entirely of ambulances queued outside. And inside, tragedy. Children are among the dozens dead on a night which VJ has since called unbearable and indescribably painful.
My brother's 2 children were there, 2 boys. The oldest one passed away, the younger one is missing. My relative, my sister-in-law, is in the ICU. What should I do? The child has lost their eye.
Limp. We use this word in a couple different ways in English, but let's talk about it like the way they used it in the newscast. It means weak or without strength. Now, I asked AI to create an image of a woman carrying her dog who was so tired that he looked limp. Now, I don't think this dog looks very limp to me, and I'm not sure if I can really put a picture of a human looking limp because they often look dead when they are limp. But think about carrying a child to bed who has already fallen asleep. Their body has gone limp. They don't really have any control of their body. It is just hanging there. And if you see the blurred picture or the video of the young child, luckily we can't tell if it's a boy or a girl, but they definitely look like they've been seriously hurt or maybe worse, but their body is limp. So here is another sentence that uses limp. The injured man walked with a limp after the stampede. So sometimes people can walk with a limp. That's different. If they're walking with a limp, you can tell that one of their legs or maybe their foot is injured. They're walking in an unnatural way. They talked about stretchers in the newscast. A stretcher is a bed or frame used to carry injured people. Let's take a look at this sentence, and it goes along with this picture. The doctors placed the woman on a stretcher and took her to the hospital. Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. Sometimes you might be overwhelmed with the number of words there are to learn in English. Let's get the definition. Unable to handle something because it is too much. But I promise, if you study your English every day, it will become less overwhelming. The police were overwhelmed by the huge crowd. Now here, I have something a little bit more happy, I would say. Let's get rid of this sentence and let's take a good look at this picture. It looks like this food center or maybe this food bank is being overwhelmed by food donations. Now they have so much food, they really don't know what to do with it. Queued. This is mostly British. It means stood in line. People will queue maybe to enter a soccer match. That's the way I used it here. Thousands of people queued for hours to enter the event. So in American English, we would say those people are standing in line. If you ever come to the United States and you use technology here, sometimes there will be a queue when you're waiting for something to download. But in the real world, we usually say stood in line. Unbearable. This means too painful or too difficult to stand. What about this sentence? The heat in the packed crowd became unbearable. And if you look at that picture, it does look hot there. It does look like there are a lot of people in that market. I'm sure the heat there is unbearable. I actually visited India this summer, and to be honest, sometimes the heat was unbearable. Indescribably. Indescribably. This might be difficult to pronounce. Yeah, I just had trouble pronouncing it. I had to edit it out. Undescribably. It means in a way that is too great or extreme to describe with words. She felt undescribably happy when she saw her family again. So maybe she had been a student overseas for like a semester. Maybe she had been gone for a few months. When she sees her family, she can't describe how happy she is. I didn't know if you would know this one. It's a great English phrasal verb to know. It's just a nice way to say somebody has died. Let's get the official definition. A polite way to say somebody has died. And if you take a look at that picture right here, it looks like this woman, this young girl, might be visiting the grave of her grandmother. Maybe her grandmother passed away a few years ago and she is paying her respects. The ICU, it's an acronym. It means Intensive Care Unit. People here are usually very sick. It's a special part of the hospital for very sick people. Now, again, there's so much tragedy in the story. I wanted to find a happy picture. So yes, this man is in ICU. So at one time, he was probably very sick, but luckily now it looks like he is a little bit better. Doctors were taking good care of him in the ICU after the long surgery.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, too, has wished the victims' families strength. Already, questions are being asked about crowd management at this event, where packed streets have left behind empty homes.
Packed streets is next. Now, I know you know streets, but do you know the adjective packed? If something is packed, I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot of people there. These are streets that are very full of people. I try to go grocery shopping very early in the morning so the store won't be packed. That way I can get in and out of the store, not waste time inside shopping. I don't really like shopping. Please let me know in the comments, do you like shopping? Do you like shopping for food? Do you like grocery shopping? Here is a sentence that uses packed streets. The rally caused packed streets all around the city. Crowd management. So a crowd is a bunch of people. Let's talk about what crowd management is. It's controlling and organizing large groups of people to keep them safe. Now, on New Year's Eve in New York City, there is usually a large crowd, and that crowd has to be managed. So let's take a look at a sentence that talks about that. New York City needs to have crowd management on New Year's Eve to keep everyone safe. Congratulations, you made it to the end of another English lesson. If you're looking for more English, right down there are a few videos I filmed in India and taught English at the same time. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.